What is up, everybody? Welcome into this Friday edition of the Pack-A-Day podcast here on YouTube. I've got one topic that I want to get into today, and that is a question that I get a lot and a question that a lot of people are talking about because it's so incredibly important to the future of this Green Bay Packers, and that's which of the undrafted free agents is the most important for Brian Gutekunst to sign as they start looking into 2021. And let me start by saying, I know that there are some of you, because you've also blown up my mentions a little bit, that think, you know what, why are you caring about what undrafted free agents are going to do in 2021? The Packers are 4-0. It's Packers versus Tampa Bay. Just enjoy the season. And I get that. I fully get that. I wholeheartedly understand that. However, I think we can do two things at once. I think we are smart enough and capable enough to, one, enjoy this season that is the Green Bay Packers, and also, two, look with a discerning eye to the future because we know, because we've been lucky enough to have, from Ron Wolf to Ted Thompson to Brian Gutekunst, that this is never just a one-season thing with the Green Bay Packers. To some people's, detriment, I think a lot of people would maybe like to see the Green Bay Packers go all in a little bit more often from time to time, but this is a franchise that is continuously looking ahead, continuously looking forward, and not solely focused on the season that they're in right now. It is Matt LaFleur's job to be focused on the 2020 season. It is the players' job to be focused on the 2020 season. But GMs, their focus cannot just be the 2020 season. It has to be beyond. And it would be, I'd be remiss not to discuss players like Aaron Jones, Corey Linsley, David Bakhtiari, Kevin King, all of whom, Jamal Williams, all of whom are having really great years in 2020 in contract seasons, and that's going to affect the future of the Green Bay Packers. So we still have plenty of time to get into Tampa Bay and Green Bay. And if that's what you'd prefer to talk about today, guess what? Andrew Merteg and Kyle Fellows did a tremendous job breaking down the game for today's Pack-A-Day podcast. You can gladly turn me off right now and you can go listen to them, and they will break down everything for you in regards to this game. Their key matchups, their X factors, they do a great job of it every single week. But I think because of how well those individual players are playing this season, and because of how important they are to the future of this team, and because Green Bay doesn't have a ton of salary cap going into next season, especially with the salary cap expected to be reduced because of the COVID situation, fans not in the stands, etc., it is a really big question. And again, it's one that I'm getting a lot. So let me address it. I'll get out in front of it a little bit, and I'll go over who I think of that group is the most important to resign. And I think one of the reasons that this is such an interesting topic is because this is a very difficult question to answer. So there's so many layers to peel back here. Running back. Let's start with Aaron Jones. I think I can, safely say for everyone that if salary cap and positional value did not play into anything, everyone would want Aaron Jones back on the Green Bay Packers. He has been a great member of the Green Bay community. He has been improving from day one of getting in the door up until today. He's gotten better as a receiver. He's gotten better as a pass protector. He is a touchdown machine. He is everything that you want in a running back in this Matt LaFleur offense. Saying goodbye to him is no easy task. That being said, arguably, running back is the least value from a positional standpoint, maybe besides fullback, certainly besides fullback, maybe besides inside linebacker. I think those are kind of in the same realm right now, but you can find running backs, and it doesn't take you going far back to, even just Le'Veon Bell, who was released this week, big contract. Todd Gurley, big contract. The players who have gotten big, contracts at the running back position have not paid it off, and teams have almost immediately regretted those deals. So this is a very difficult choice. And I no matter what you feel about Aaron Jones, I just don't think that you can put him as the top priority. Maybe he's second on your list, but I don't think he can be the top priority of trying to resign players just based on that positional value. You've got A.J. Dillon. If you wanted, you could get Jamal Williams back for a much lower cost. And then you usually can find running backs in the draft or in free agency that can come and help you. Hell, the Chiefs just found Le'Veon Bell on the scrap heap midway through a season, and he's going to go probably help them, try to win a Super Bowl. So you can find running backs, even though, again, I don't think anyone wants to say goodbye to Aaron Jones. I don't think you can put him on the top of the list. Kevin King is almost the exact opposite discussion. I think of all of these players, you can argue that Kevin King is I don't want worst seems harsh because he's a really good football player still. But when you compare how good each of these players are at their respective positions, Kevin King is a worse corner than Aaron Jones is a running back, than Corey Linsley is a center, than David Bakhtiari is a left tackle. But it is a position that is ridiculously valuable, and it is really hard to find even good to average corners in this league. So while maybe he's not the best at it, he's still good at it, and those players have a ton of value. So while I don't think you can also put Kevin King one on your list, it's again almost the exact opposite argument of Aaron Jones. One is great, no positional value. The other's good, great positional value. So you just have to kind of weigh those things out. But I don't think either of those are going to be on the top of my list. Corey Linsley, another player. Fantastic season. Pro Football Focus's highest graded center. My third graded player on offense behind Aaron Rodgers and David Bakhtiari. Heck, my third graded player overall on the team behind Aaron Rodgers and David Bakhtiari. Linsley's been nothing short of fantastic as a pass protector, as a run blocker, and don't just count what he does on the field. I guess this is on the field too, but what he does pre-snap, both reviewing defenses, adjusting to those defenses, and making sure that he helps Aaron Rodgers catch teams not only jumping off sides, but getting those free plays. Corey Linsley has a lot to do with that as well. It takes the person snapping the ball to snap it exactly on time so you catch them off sides before they get the false start penalty, before the offensive tackle jumps back, and you get the 5 yards instead of the free play. It is massively important that that center is able to do that. Corey Linsley does it without even, with flying colors year in and year out, and has that rapport with Aaron Rodgers. You don't want to see him go. He's been great as a pass protector, great as a run blocker. This has arguably been his best season so far. He's continued to get better. But another position that maybe doesn't have the most, positional value. You can argue that it's the least positional value across the offensive line. Some would say guard, some would say center. Certainly tackle is the most important. But you don't want to lose players like Corey Linsley either. And then you start getting into the discussion of, all right, if David Bakhtiari is worth $18 million and Corey Linsley's worth $11 million, is David Bakhtiari $7 million more than what Corey Linsley would cost? So all of those factors come in as well. And then, of course, you have David Bakhtiari. And this is not to leave Jamal Williams out of this discussion. Jamal Williams had a really nice start to the season, but I think when we're talking Linsley, Bakhtiari, King, and Aaron Jones, I think Jamal Williams is just a tier down here. He's certainly earned himself some money this year with the way that he played. But let's get to David Bakhtiari, left tackle, playing at the top of his game. This is arguably his best start to his career. He's struggled with bull rushes in the past. That has not been an issue. I think one time I've seen him struggle with a bull rush this season, and even then he anchored at the end and still kept himself between the edge rusher and his quarterback, Aaron Rodgers. He's been better at run blocking. He has done everything that you would ask out of him. He's playing at again, the highest level of left tackle in football. I don't know what more you would want at the position. And oh, by the way, left tackle, very, very important position. That being said, Bakhtiari is easily going to cost more than any of the other players that I just named. So Brian Gutekunst is going to have to weigh out, all right, how much do I have to spend? Which ones are the best? Which ones are at the most important positions? And does the value of the contract match the value that I'm going to get for them out on the field? And maybe you could end up in situations where David Bakhtiari at maybe $18 million, Corey Linsley and Aaron Jones maybe at $22 million. Would you rather have Jones and, look at it this way. Would you rather have Bakhtiari and Jamal Williams or Corey Linsley and Aaron Jones? That could be a question that he has to answer. All of those things come into play. So my answer of who is the most important, who is the top priority, and maybe this is what you would expect, but I've literally gone back and forth on this as I've been thinking through all these different options. My answer is David Bakhtiari. And the reason I say that isn't necessarily because he's been playing great, and it's not necessarily because he's at the most important position. I believe that you win Super Bowls with elite players. I believe that what sets you apart and what puts you over the top to get you to the big game and ultimately winning a big game isn't necessarily your good players. It's not the Adrian Amoses, it's not the Billy Turners, the Rick Wagners, it's not even maybe the Elton Jenkins, it's not the Jamal Williams. It is your elite level players that win you Super Bowls. Everyone's got average to good players. Everyone has them. But you do not find elite players easily. They are tough to draft. You usually have to have premium picks. Teams aren't giving up on them in free agency. You can't trade for them. If you do, it's usually going to take 2, maybe even 3 first-round draft picks to get those type of players. They simply do not grow on trees, and they are very tough to acquire. And when you get them, you better hold on to them no matter what. And I think David Bakhtiari is definitely deserving of that elite player status. It is not, again, those good to average players that will win you a Super Bowl. It's Aaron Rodgers. It's Aaron Jones, and I know he's in the same discussion, but it's David Bakhtiari. It is going to be Devontae Adams, Kenny Clark, Jair Alexander. Those are the players that will help you win a Super Bowl. And I think David Bakhtiari over Aaron Jones, Corey Linsley, Kevin King, Jamal Williams, I think he is the elite player of that group. And I think that's why you have to put him as 1A on your list of trying to re-sign players, even if it means maybe missing out on 2 or even maybe 3 of those other players, because they may be a little bit more replaceable than an elite level left tackle who's still in the very prime of his career. Hell, Andrew Whitworth is still playing into his 40s. I got to get out of here. I hope you enjoyed this discussion. We can still celebrate that the Packers are 4-0 and that they're playing well and they've got a great game coming up. We'll talk about that more tomorrow. We'll talk about that more in the coming days. Thank you for following along. Thank you for subscribing. Until next time, and as always, go Pack Go.